Hey there, I'm Alex, and I'm a solo game developer working on Dreadwinter, a cozy game about running a fantasy coffee shop. I've been working on it for close to 2 years, and occasionally I get ideas for all sorts of new games, but end up shelving them to keep working on my main one. A few weeks ago I was going through a bit of burnout, and I had an idea for another game during the weekend, so I decided to take a short break from Dreadwinter and spend a week building a prototype for it. I had a lot of fun developing it, and it reminded me that I do enjoy making games, so I thought it was worth making a devlog about what I did and how I approached the process of taking a game from a concept to a prototype, which may be useful if you're looking to start developing your own game. So the game I had in mind is called Corru's Courier service. It's a simple game about delivering parcels in a world where humanity lives on floating islands and monsters rule the skies. In this world, being a courier is a rare and highly qualified profession, as you need to be able to pilot an aircraft through all sorts of perilous conditions, as well as fight off monsters and bandits you encounter on your delivery routes. I think of it as something like witches that deliver mail, although the world and overall atmosphere is cozier, similar to the Freerun series. I spent the first day establishing the scope of the game and getting the project set up. I always start by writing concept notes, essentially just describing everything I said before in the style of a project proposal. It's a good way for me to get my ideas into some sort of tangible form and decide whether I've got something I can actually make. Once I established what the gameplay would be like and how the basic mechanics would work, I then set up a Godot project and started figuring out what the graphical style would be. I'm using Godot 3.5 with C# with Dreadwinter, but I thought it'd be a good idea to broaden my horizons, so I tried using Godot 4.2 and learning GD script. Godot 4 comes with a lot of quality of life changes, which I appreciated, and I do like that GD script is more direct when it comes to using the engine, but I found that I prefer the syntax for C# and how it's structured. In my opinion, it's not really important which one you use, and it's best not to overthink it. In terms of graphics, I wanted to go for a simple, low-resolution pixel art style, similar to games like Moonstone Island and Fields of Mystria. Before, I used to fall into the trap of thinking that you need to stuff in detail to make things look good, and I still occasionally do, but there is a beauty in simplicity, especially with pixel art. Graphics shouldn't be the main focus of a prototype, but it can be hard to get a good feel of your game without it, so it's a matter of finding something that works, and then moving on. I started by designing the main character Corru, a newly qualified courier that's decided to start their own delivery company. If you are going to spend time designing something, I think it's generally best to start with the player, since you should be designing your world around them, in which I mean things like getting the size of buildings and doors right. I designed the idle and running animations as well, since I find it's the longest part of designing a character sprite, and it's best to get done quickly. I wouldn't say this is necessary though, and I just happened to have a good idea of what I wanted. I also designed the background for one of the sky zones, the islands that you travel to, and put together a test level for the game to get an idea of how things would look together. Once I was set on a graphical style, I could then start working on making a playable game. The goal here is to implement the core game loop, so let's first establish what my core game loop is. At the start of each day, you get given a list of delivery jobs to take on. Each job consists of the location you collect parcels from, and a list of addresses to deliver to. For example, you collect your parcels from Sky Zone 1 and deliver them to Sky Zones 1, 2 and 4. Travelling from one sky zone to another uses up time units, of which you have a limited amount, and jobs have a time limit to complete them in. The idea is that you have to plan which jobs to take on, and figure out a delivery route to collect and deliver all your parcels in time. My aim was for the game to require you to think about how you're going to carry out your day, but not punish you for making mistakes, so some jobs have a longer time limit, but you can get bonus pay for delivering everything in the same day. Now that I've laid out what I wanted to do, I could then break it up into sections and work on it step by step. I designed Corru's Aerovan, which serves as a delivery vehicle, as well as a mobile home, and added in level transitions. You spend a lot of time camping in the van, and I wanted it to be a cozy place you could customize, so I laid down some groundwork for future development, such as a tile system for placing furniture, and designing the furniture with that in mind. A lot of the week was spent developing the various mechanics and systems needed, like interaction, creating the data structure for delivery jobs, and a stats system. It always takes longer than I expect, since I then have to create a UI to present all of this to the player as well, which means more design work. The hardest part of the entire process was creating the job menu, which can be accessed from a terminal in the Aerovan. It displays the delivery jobs available to you each day, and lets you choose which ones to accept. I ended up spending more time than I would have liked figuring out how to create an expanding text box to display each job, as I had to combine several different UI elements to make it work properly, which I think was harder than it should be. For me, menus and UI is probably the worst part of game development, since it's important and takes time to make, but it's not really what you sign up for. Eventually, most of the back-end work was done for the prototype, so I spent the rest of my time adding some more graphics to the game. I designed a post office, which is based on the Pokemon centers from the 4th generation games, and some houses to deliver to. I added a second sky zone as well, in order to test out collecting and delivering between different areas. There were some little things I could have added to add some more polish and sparkle, but it's like trying to get extra points for an exam that only has the pass or fail. Ultimately, I think the goal once you've made a prototype is to be able to answer 3 questions. Is the game fun to play? Do I have fun making it? And what do I need to finish it? You want to be able to say yes to the first 2 questions, and have a good idea of what you would need to make a complete game. In this case, considering how simple the gameplay is at this point, I did have fun testing it out. I think part of it might have been due to adding sprinting to the player, which I found more entertaining than I should have. With additional gameplay elements added, such as having a story, a progression and upgrade system, combat, as well as other things to do throughout the day, I think it would be a pretty good game. As for whether I had fun making it, I can say that I did. It might have been the change of pace, or the fact that it's the start of the project, and so things progressed faster, but I was quite happy to work on it. The last question is a bit of a broad one, but I'd say I have a much better idea of the overall scope if I were to make a full game, such as what features I'd want to add, and roughly how long it would take. In the end, I was ready to go back to Dreadwinter, which was the point of this little break, but I would be happy to work on it if I had the time. It's one of those cases when it would be nice to have 2 of me to work on 2 things at once. Anyway, I think that covers everything I wanted to talk about. I may come back to Corru whenever I need a break, but for now it's back to Dreadwinter. There should be another devlog regarding what I've been working on soon, so keep an eye out, and thanks for watching.